Questo è successo l'anno scorso. Qui. Eccolo qui.
Eccolo.
Ciao, ciao Sam Rogers. Ciao.
Hello.
Hello.
Good to meet you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Right,
Palco tuo.
I'm going to be talking about the Gravity jet suit today. That is the flying turbojet engine-powered suit that we've developed over the last 5 years at Gravity. So, what that looks like is that. There's 3 humans suspended in the air above the London docks. I've been a test pilot and chief designer at Gravity for the last 5 years. So you can see we've got the jet suit that we've built on one side there. That's the 5 turbojet engine version. And then on the other side, we've got our electric prototype that we built. That only flies for about 30 seconds, but it's a line in the sand of what can you actually do with a jet suit configuration powered by batteries. But to start with, we're going to look at where this all started. So Richard Browning, back in 2017, had the idea that if you strap enough propulsion to your body, could you allow a human to fly in an entirely new way? So he started by strapping a single model jet turbine to his arm in a country lane somewhere in the UK and getting a feel for what that would feel like. Most people think that's going to be a terrible, terrifying force that's going to try and rip your arm off. But in reality, it's just a soft, spongy push pushing back on your arm. So the next step was 2 engines, 1 on each arm. So you start to get balanced force on both arms now. You can redirect the thrust as you move around, and you can see he actually managed to do a quick moon gravity hop, so you stay in the air for a little bit longer every time you jump. After that, 2 engines on each arm. So this version, he managed to stay in the air for even longer because he had even lower gravity, so those hops would gently take him into the air before descending back down. But he couldn't sustain free flight while only having 2 engines on one arm. So the next was 3 on each arm. So with 3 on each arm, it became unwieldy. So once he did get in the air, he wasn't able to stay up there because you've now got so much weight on the end of your arms that you're trying to lug around like this. The problem is you can't redirect them fast enough to actually retain control. So then it was taking those 2 extra engines that were on the arms and putting them on the legs. So now you have something that looks very similar to those first prototypes in the Iron Man films. And this is how Richard managed to get that first 6-second flight, staying in the air by moving his arms and legs in some strange fashion like this that resulted in a consistent flight across about 4 meters in an old dusty farmyard. And that was the moment that proved this could actually be possible. So since then, it's come a long way in productiness. It started with a load of DIY store aluminium strapped to your body with holes drilled in it everywhere to keep it light and wires running all over the place uncovered. So the challenge for us has been to try and turn the jet suit into a product as much as possible. So I came at this from a background in 3D printing and rocket engines. So I tried to apply the knowledge I'd got from 3D printing to the jet suit because it allows you to create very organic structures. You can prototype really quickly. So we had applied this method of building up products layer by layer, and that's what allows you to have completely organic geometry of any part. We applied that to the suit. So these are some of the initial structures we tried. When you 3D print something, you've got to have a support structure that supports all of the different layers as it builds up on each other. So you end up with these funky looking structures that look a bit organic and tree-like. These were some of the first iterations of the suit where we started trying to fit together pieces of aluminium with 3D printed sections. But this is when we realized the 3D printers that were available were actually the size of kind of 4 American double fridges, and you could fit an entire backpack into that volume. So we started looking at 3D printing larger parts on the suit. So you can see this is something we call dragon scales, which are printed in nylon that run down the side of the suit to help it flex in and out as you consume the fuel. This was the first fully 3D printed backpack. The entire structure is one 3D print underneath those scales. Then we started looking at the arms. Those are aluminium 3D printed sections on the arms with a nylon arm down the middle. The aluminium can take the heat, whereas the nylon that your arm goes into doesn't need to get so hot, so it can be plastic. We then went through a few iterations of trying to make it not only be more like a product, so that you can use it in any situation and you just press the red button to make it go, rather than thinking about plugging in wires and all this stuff you get with prototypes. And we got to the point where we had something that was pretty robust looking and quite producty, as I call it, to the point where we could actually take it and use it for actual applications. So this is what we call the Mark 2.5, the old version that had one big engine in the back. Then we started looking at a training suit, which was very small as we could make the jet suit, because the whole point of this is the most minimal amount of equipment that can be put on the human body to make them fly. So this is the latest suit we've come up with. This has 3 engines in the back, the same engines as on the arm mounts, and this is our latest suit that we've taken around the world over the last few years, doing military events, special forces, and working with the paramedics. That we call the Mark III. So we had this jet suit early on. It was the smallest amount of equipment, something you can fit in a suitcase that can actually allow a human to fly. So what do you do with that? Well, one of the first things we did was jet suit flight training. So people can actually come and put on the suit and give it a go and get a feel for what it's like to have 5 to 7 jet engines strapped to your body, all pushing on you. You can't bend your arms because it'll just push them up like this. You need to keep your arms straight, and you slowly get an idea of what it's like to control this thrust in such a way that you can now fly. So it's pretty obvious. If I point them that way, I'm going to go backwards. If I point them behind me, I'm going to go forwards. The key is learning rotation, because you've got to do one arm back and one arm forwards. But the training experience has been fantastic, and we've deployed that over America and in the UK. You can see some people there at Goodwood in our UK facility learning to fly. It usually takes a couple of goes to get the hang of it. A couple of goes to a few days, depending how good you are. Another thing we've done is a lot of TV and film. We clad our jet suit in a titanium 3D printed Iron Man suit with Adam Savage, the presenter from Mythbusters. And with the more serious application side of things, we've done demos with many different special forces. These particular ones is flying off HMS Tamar with the Royal Navy. It shows that you can get onto a ship really quickly and get off of a ship. If you're trying to move between 2 ships, it does actually take quite a while, because you've got to have a smaller boat, dock with a big ship, you then move across to the other ship, you then motor along in the little ship, up to the bigger ship, put another bridge across and cross over, and all that's taken like 20 minutes. Whereas with a jet suit, I could fly from one boat to another in about 10 seconds. We've also worked with the paramedics. So this is flying up various mountains in the Lake District in the UK. So you can fly up a mountain, get to a casualty, and you're able to potentially save their life because you've got there faster than anyone could by helicopter or by running up the mountain, because we can actually land somewhere that a helicopter can't land. So you can stabilize the patient so that they last long enough to be taken down off the mountain. So that's a quick synopsis of what we've done at Gravity over the last few years. You can see a small bunch of our team there. We've got 5 pilots that had just been racing over pylons in the UK. That's one of the other things we're looking at Gravity, is a race series with guys and girls from different sporting backgrounds, all racing it out over water so it's safe, and pushing the technology as far as we can through racing it like they do with F1. So there you go. Thank you very much. There's an insight into Gravity, and I'll leave you with a little personal picture of the Buzz Lightyear my grandfather built me when I was like 6 or 7, and then the Caractacus Potts costume from Chitty Chitty Bang Bang that my mum helped me build for a school book day, and then obviously the jet suit that we fly today. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Sam.
Thank you, Sam. E allora, ragazzi, noi... Thank you, Sam.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Cheers. Bye-bye.